we've got that tropical moisture rolling northward through Texas, and you saw that stratocumulus just working northward. That is the tropical moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico there. Base is up at about 5,000 or 6,000, and there's the warm sector right there, stretching all the way from Texas up to the Canadian Maritimes, very large area of above normal temperatures. And below normal temperatures, those are in the Dakotas right here, running about 30 degrees below seasonal averages. So, as you might guess, that's a good position for the jet stream, right in between those two. Very cold up here, very warm in this area here. And you can also see we're kind of developing a trough out on the west coast. The excuse me, the warm air over the east coast building a large ridge across that area, and the very cold temperatures here building a trough. So what kind of temperatures did we have today? 80s where we're at. The warmest temperatures I can find in Texas, 87 there at Cotulla, and up in the Dakotas, got a few below zero readings up there, so pretty large contrast there. And we can see temperatures are above, they're pretty warm here in Arizona, so it doesn't look like the cold front has quite passed through that area. It's probably still to the north. Las Vegas running pretty close to seasonal averages, and we don't really hit the cold air until we get up to the northern deserts here. So that is kind of mild air here. We don't get into the worst of it till we get up into Washington. You can see 18 and 17 there at Ephrata and Spokane. And here's the large-scale pattern. And I was talking about that trough out to the west, and there it is. Can zoom in on that real quick and look at the United States view here. Let me take a quick look at the chat and make sure our audio is good. I'm always get in a habit of doing that. The worst thing to have happen is to run a 20-minute show with no audio. And as you know, I've had to go back and do the show over again when that happens. So got quite a crowd here. Sue, Andrew, Mark, Jeff, and Fred, Cody. Hello to you all, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody here. Sue is talking about ice storms coming. I'll try to fill in a little information there. Fred is minus 17 up there at Grand Forks. And in New Hampshire, 57 up there at the Sour, according to Mark here. So, yeah, here's the cold air just up to the north, poised to move southeast, so that will start changing our patterns here over the next few days. Now, let me see. We've got a little bit of a game here I want to do. Let me see how far I want to take the analysis before we get into that. Yeah, let's finish off the analysis, because you're going to have to know a little bit about what's going on right now. And let me just fill you in on the locations. You're going to have to guess where the soundings are that I'm going to show you. It's going to either be Churchill, which is on the Hudson Bay shore here, polar bear capital of the north. Also, we've got El Paso, and we've got Miami down here, and we've also got San Francisco. So those are going to be your four choices there. You're going to have to guess which one we're looking at. And one of your clues here is the upper level winds. So that might help you distinguish a little bit in terms of direction and speed. The frontal analysis looks pretty similar to yesterday. We've got a front coming south through New York and pushing through the Midwest here and on down to Texas. So front is starting to make it down into the Dallas area around the Sour. Now the thickness band down in Arizona, that's fairly wide. It extends from Nevada to northwest Mexico here. So that's kind of strange because we know that we have to place the front on the warm side of that gradient. So we need to be placing that here. And we've got kind of a discrepancy here with the data. Let's take a closer look at that in the southwest. We were talking about how conditions are pretty warm there in Phoenix and Tucson. And we've probably got to get up to the California deserts here before we start getting into the cold air. So I guess we are back a little bit behind that banding. And that's probably due to frictional effects slowing down the lower parts of the air mass. And aloft, the colder areas are advecting a little more quickly eastward. So we get kind of a cold over warm pattern, and that's what we have with an unstable air mass. So probably some good instability in this area here. So that's probably about what we're going to go with for the fronts. Okay, so you know it's very cold up in the north, and you know it's very warm across the southeast, and it's a little bit cool on the west coast. Okay, so let's do our game. And this is the first time I've ever done this, so hopefully we don't have any problems here. I'm going to throw up a sounding here, and you guys have to guess whether this is Churchill, El Paso, Miami, or San Francisco. All right, let's give it a shot and see how it goes. Ready? You'll have 30 seconds here. Okay, so this could be Miami, Buffalo, or San Francisco, El Paso, or Churchill. All right, any thoughts on that one? Let me pull that up here. I can't draw on the video, so I'm going to... Whoop. Sorry about that. As I said, we're working out the bugs here. Let me bring that up on my... Yeah, here we go. Okay, so now I've got the image up, and now I can draw on it. So, any clues about what that looked like? Kevin says Churchill. Sue says Churchill. Jeff and Alexi, kind of a unanimous agreement. Yeah, we've got that line way off to the left here. And if we look at the temperatures down here, we're in the minus 20 to minus 40 range. So yeah, this is a very cold column. And near the surface, it's even colder. So that's an Arctic front inversion right in that area right there, topping out maybe about right here, only a couple thousand feet off the ground. So yeah, that's Churchill, and let's try one more. Are we ready? So again, we're down to El Paso, Miami, or San Francisco. Okay, we got a couple votes here for El Paso, one for Miami. All right, well, let's take a close look at that. Let me shut this off and give you the image feed. Now here your clue is going to be the moisture on the left side. The bottom part of this gives you your surface dew point. You follow that down, -5 Celsius dew point at the surface, which is about 23 Fahrenheit. and we can see it's pretty dry all the way up. Now that's probably not going to be Miami because they're quite tropical. So we've got a very warm part of the column here, so that's probably not going to be San Francisco. It's very doubtful. I showed you that they were back behind the cold front, so we're probably not looking at temperatures in the 60s at the surface there. So yeah, this is El Paso. All right. Now, let's see. Let me get our next one. We're going to do one more here. Are we ready? We're down to Miami or San Francisco here. So remember, you've got temperature on the right and moisture on the left. And we're out of time here, so let's check out the image. Okay, in this case, we've got temperatures at the surface around 22, 23 Celsius. That's going to be about 71 Fahrenheit, and quite a bit of moisture near the surface, up to about 3,000 or 4,000 feet, and dry above that. So yeah, this is pretty warm. Your other clue is the wind. See how light the winds are? They're out of the east. We have basically these are the tropical easterlies. And if I show you the upper level chart, San Francisco had strong westerlies. They're on the edge of that polar front jet. So this is Miami. And just about everybody got that one. And that leaves us with San Francisco. I'll just pull that one up for you and show you what that looked like. And there's San Francisco right there. And let me make sure that is San Francisco. The winds look awfully light there. Yep, that is San Francisco. So we've got temperatures around 50 at the surface. We've got a little bit of humidity there. The lines are very close together, so that's 50, 60% relative humidities. So that's kind of a damp, cool column all the way up. And this is what threw me. I was expecting kind of westerly winds, kind of strong westerly winds, but I think they've slipped off the northern edge of that jet, and they're getting more towards the cold core there. So this is probably kind of a cold core situation. The lapse rates there are very steep for California. And I remember yesterday on the webcast we were talking about the cold core starting to move into California. So that's probably what's going on there. Kind of a showery sounding here. Okay, sorry about that. I had to grab a drink because my voice is drying out a little bit. Okay, well, hope that was fun. That was kind of a fun little test run. We'll probably do some more of that next week and kind of keep things fun here. All right, back to the charts here. Here's the Fort Worth sounding for this afternoon. We haven't looked at Fort Worth yet, but you can see those clouds aloft, and we saw that on the actually this is all data. Let me sort this out just a second here. I've got so many windows open. Okay, yeah, this looks a little bit better here. Okay, Fort Worth. They've just had the front pass through. Got one little plot here of north winds. And you can see a very shallow frontal inversion down here. So that's the front slipping through Dallas, and above that we've got a subsidence inversion. So that's a little bit of sinking motion in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. And what we had happen, you saw that stratocumulus on the opening video. That was the low-level jet feeding up from the south, bringing moisture up, And it builds vertically underneath this inversion. And this is about the tops of the stratocumulus right here, so that's about 7,000 feet or so. And above that, pretty dry air. Okay, let me start setting up the forecast here, and we'll see what's coming up for the next few days. All right, let me take a look at the chat here. Some good comments about the game. Yeah, we'll definitely do that again, and we'll see what we can come up with. Funnel clouds reported near Fresno. Maybe I'll take a quick look at the radar here. We'll go to College DuPage here. They've got a pretty good radar site. We can look at the individual NEXRAD sites, and I'm not sure if that activity is going on right now or not, but yeah, you can kind of see the showery appearance. Here, I don't know how much of this is ground clutter. We would have to run an animation. Let's do that real quick. Okay, yeah, this looks like ground clutter here. That's probably the Sierra Nevadas right there. But this actually looks like our shower activity right there. And we can switch over to the SPC mesoscale sector and plot up some of that rain. Looks like it's kind of subsided, maybe shifted down into this area. So there's the 500 millibar low right there, just right over Fairfield, between Sacramento and Oakland right there. And let's see what it looks like on the 700. We'll go down to 10,000 feet at 700 millibars. Kind of in the same area. That's what we would expect with a barotropic low. It stacks pretty much vertically. Then the 850 millibar low, pretty much in the same area here. You can see kind of a cyclonic circulation right there. So that is where your cold core low is. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I was going to pull up the lapse rates for you real quick. I went to mid-level lapse rates, and this shows you the enhanced steep lapse rates that we have associated with that cold core convection. So that's what helps generate some of the showers in that area. Okay, let's proceed with the forecast. We know that the front is slipping down through Dallas-Fort Worth, and we've got our Pacific system moving through California. So when we do our webcast for tomorrow, it's going to be Friday. Not much progress on the California system. Kind of moves into the Yuma, Las Vegas area. Cold core just off the Los Angeles coast. So maybe another day of showers in the LA area. Looks like our front is probably right along that line of precip, so maybe something like that. For Texas, looks like our front is kind of stationary, running something like that. GFS going for a little bit of freezing precip in the Stillwater area up to Chanute and Columbia, Illinois, or Missouri. And here's that high pressure that's feeding cold air southwestward. 540 line, pretty far up to the north. That's the precipitation changeover line. And since the freezing precipitation is kind of south of that, that tells us we have a pretty shallow front. So most of the cold air is concentrated pretty close to the surface, and a lot of warm air above that. Let's see if we can check that out. Let me set a sounding over Indiana for tomorrow night. And it's a little bit smoothed out, but you can see 31 there at the surface, and then we go up to about 2,000, 1 or 2,000 feet. That's the core of the cold air. Then it warms up, and then our top is up at about 4,000 feet. And above that, we've got this warm layer here from about 4,000 up to 8,000 feet. So that's kind of the situation we've got there in Indiana tomorrow night. Okay, let me get the charts straightened out again. They've shifted on me. Okay, then we'll head into Saturday. Saturday, we see the system kind of increasing there in Texas. Precipitation coverage expanding in the Panhandle. And it looks like our front is kind of in this area here. So pretty warm in South Texas and pretty warm north of the cold front too. We don't have that big winter storm that the models were forecasting earlier this week. And the cold core low, well to the southwest over the Gulf of California. Then for our webcast on Sunday night, this is where things pick up in Texas. System finally comes out of the Rockies, and you see the cold core low. It has kind of opened up. Now it's showing kind of like a little bit of a trough feature here, and that's the system coming out of the Rockies there. So cold front kind of like that, lifting northward, very strong warm air advection, and we see a squall line starting to develop from about Abilene up to Childress and Shamrock. That'll come eastward through the overnight hours into Dallas, maybe Monday morning. Wintry precip shifting pretty far north with that very strong warm air advection. And you can see pretty early on, we were going to talk a little bit about Indiana's weather. You can see we did have a little bit of cold air in place earlier, enough for a little bit of freezing precipitation, but very strong warm air advection kind of builds in, and that's where we get that changeover to liquid precip Sunday night. So now we're in a pretty warm pattern here for Indiana on Monday. So for Monday's webcast, the system is pulling out of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. A little bit of wraparound snow and freezing rain into Kansas. And you can see here over New Mexico, that's a little bit of that cold core shower activity, snow showers there. That's going to be on Monday night there. For Tuesday's webcast, looks like our front kind of falls apart, doesn't have very much of a cold push. Pressures are very low in through here and even lower up in Canada. It is showing a little bit of an Alberta clipper up to the north. That's way off to the top of the chart here. Weak Alberta clipper, but pressure's up there pretty low. Then for Wednesday's webcast, looks like the Pacific starts getting active here. Looks like pretty windy in there through from about San Francisco up to Eureka. Then for Thursday, this next system starts moving inland. There it goes. Pretty quiet in the central U.S., just kind of a lee side trough setting in place. Then for Saturday, the system moves through the Rockies. Low pressure developing there in Texas. It looks like the frontal boundary is kind of starting to push out into Texas here. That thickness banding well to the south here. And the system looks almost like a copycat of this weekend system. There's Saturday, there's Sunday the 22nd. Lifts northward into the Great Lakes and a lot of liquid precip. So we've got kind of a mild pattern here. And we're starting to get towards the end of this model run. Looks like we finally start building up some cold air around the 24th and 25th. You see the high pressure's coming up here. Strong cold air advection coming in. And 540 line is being driven all the way down to Texas. So that should start changing over our pattern here towards the end of this run. So finally, I guess we're going to have a return to winter in a little bit over a week. We'll just have to be patient for that. wow, another system coming in there in the Pacific at the very end there on the 28th. Okay, that's about all I got, guys. Let me just check over the chat real quick, and sometimes it's hard for me to catch all the questions because there's so much to keep track of here. Let's see here. Beats the 6 o'clock news. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I kind of live and breathe this weather stuff here. What instrument gets that data with a black background and the height data with the colored lines? I think I missed where that was. Instrument with the data with a black background. Oh, that must be the sounding here. Model sounding, I think that's what Andre is talking about here. This is just querying the model at a specific time here. 384 hours out, I clicked on the map, and this came up with, I guess that's going to be about South Dakota, maybe. And it gives us kind of like a sounding of where that is. And we're going to use this a lot more as we get into storm season here, and especially the photographs. It's a very nice photograph that they got there from Pivotal Weather. And that's about all I got here. So I'll let you guys go, and I hope you have a good evening. And I will see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock at the usual time. Thanks.